Okay, so the problem that motivated Riot into existence is this. So we know from decades of meta research that there are two serious problems that affect the scientific literature. So not all trials that are conducted are published, and not all that are published are adequately reported. So some are actually misreported. Yet these publications, which might present a rosier picture of the evidence than the data actually show, go on to affect clinical decision-making through guidelines, systematic reviews, and the popular press. So the question is, what can we do about this? So we believe data and transparency is one of the real keys to addressing this problem. Okay, so what is RIAT? So I'm just going to read that. So I already kind of mentioned it. It's an international effort to tackle bias in the way research is published, with the goal of providing more accurate information to patients and other healthcare decision makers. So we're ensuring trial publications are accurate, complete, and that data are publicly available. So the initiative was launched through this publication in the BMJ, with the tip of the iceberg, being what we see. So that's the trial publication. But the bottom of the iceberg includes thousands of pages of regulatory data, like clinical study reports, case report forms, informed consent forms, individual participant data. So this is kind of, what RIAT is all about, is about this deep dive into the ocean to understand, what's hidden beneath the waterline. So the Riot Initiative issued a call to action in 2013, calling on institutions that funded and investigators who conducted abandoned trials to publish in the case of unpublished trials, or formally correct or republish in the case of misreported trials, their studies. So an example of Riot is this highly influential study in 2001. So it helped drive sales of paroxetine for depression in kids, concluding the drug was safe and effective. But our RIAT reanalysis of the data, published 14 years later and after accessing the underlying patient data, came to the exact opposite conclusion. So the drug was neither effective nor safe. So there's growing evidence. So there's growing access to regulatory data, starting to reveal parts of the previously invisible iceberg of trial data. And this is what makes RIAT possible. So it's not just researchers we need. We call these researchers rioters, who are, taking that deep dive. So these are the ones who are willing to go and request the data and get access to the data and take that deep dive into the data. But we also need journals who are willing to publish reports of clinical trials written by people who are not the original trialists. So this is new, and many journals have never done this. But some, we call them RIAT-friendly journals, like the BMJ, PLOS Medicine, JAMA, and the Lancet, have made clear that they're willing to entertain such publications. And so that's why we created the RIAT Support Center. So we're helping people to navigate this vast new landscape of access to data through how-tos and support. And we also launched a new campaign in this previous year, in 2021, which I'll tell you more about. But first, a few quick slides to show you what's on our website. So we have a variety of how-tos, so practical guides on how to find data, how to approach journals, which journals, guides on the universe of trial and regulatory documents, things like CSRs, clinical study reports, CRFs, case report forms, medical officer reviews, and so on. We created a glossary for those because we learned that much of this was a new world, even for people with great familiarity with trials, but no industry or regulatory experience. So we also have detailed steps on how to RIAT. So these steps ensure to make sure the process of making a claim of misreporting and reanalysis is legitimate, fair, and auditable. And here's just the glossary that I mentioned of regulatory documents. So, and then from 2018 to 2020, we ran 3 competitions, and we gave out around $750,000 for people to conduct these deep dive RIATs. So you can see our competition team winners here. So our competitions are very exciting. Each team got around $150,000 to take this deep dive into a trial that was either, that was misreported or unreported. And we're awaiting, a series of RIAT publications coming out in the next year or so. So yeah, here are the competition winners from 2019. So this is the Riot Expressions of Concern campaign that I mentioned about earlier. It's something new. So we're giving away about $1,000 awards to people who are interested in doing something about publication and reporting bias. So the idea behind the campaign is to highlight the inadequacies in the publication of clinical trials, and just to show that it's not an old problem that's gone away. It's not a problem nobody cares about anymore. It's not limited to a certain therapeutic area, and it's not something that one particular team of academics cares about. So the idea is to make those concerns about under and misreporting, trial design flaws, and inadequate transparency more visible. And one way we think we can do that is through letters to the editor. So these are short letters that highlight big problems with the trial. So they don't need to conduct a full reanalysis. They just need to attempt to lodge concern about a problem in the public record. So we know that not all of these letters will be published. So we will be showcasing them all on our website, which will also give visibility to the problems at journals which refuse to engage in the correction of the literature. And so to help galvanize this, we can offer teams $1,000 awards to write 2 to 3 letters, with the agreement that they'll also serve as pre-submission peer reviewers for others' letters. So of course, you'll have to disclose our funding if you accept it. So please go to our website and be in touch if this is something you might be involved in. We think these awards would make great for small projects for trainees. So here's an example of a Riot expression of concern that was written by the Riot team. So it was written about the lack of data shared from the COVID-19 vaccine trial. The letter was rejected, but on our website, we document the full correspondence with the New England Journal of Medicine editor regarding their decisions. So yeah, thank you for listening. Riot is one way to address the problems with the literature. So please get involved.